So I'm a little taken by all these kind of academic thoughts, and I have to bring myself back to art. Actually, can you go to the other picture, please? Perfect. The Word became flesh and made a home among us. I have to get out of my head and back to the art, back to the music, back to the body. The Word became flesh and made a home among us. What core truth about God does this reflect? The Reverend Dr. Kelly Brown Douglas says, Jesus Christ clearly signifies that God loves us not in spite of or apart from our bodies, but that God loves us in our bodies as uniquely embodied creatures. The consequences of this are really huge and mind-expanding. The body matters. How we care for our bodies is a matter of faith. How we care for other people's bodies is a matter of faith. None of it is apart from religion, from what we believe, but is integral to it. The Word became flesh and made a home among us. Warren goes on to ask, what would it mean to believe the gospel, not just in my brain, but in my body? She reflects on how caring for her body and other people's bodies is a sacred act. Brushing her teeth becomes a holy act of hope that God loves her in her body and that God redeems her in her body. I add to that cleaning the skinned knee of a child and patting their back to comfort them, that's a sacred act. Holding the hand of your elderly aunt who can't recognize who you are, but who knows someone is there, that's a sacred act. Recent research on trauma focuses on the body, on the nervous system, on the way that it reacts to horrific events. Techniques that help people address trauma, they focus on creating a sense of safety and love in the body first. Creating that sense of bodily safety, creating that sense of love is essential to healing the whole person who's experienced hard things. Creating that sense of bodily safety and love is a key part of also working on the thoughts that go with the trauma. The titles of two well-known books on trauma reflect this. One of them is The Body Keeps the Score, and another is My Grandmother's Hands. Both of these books have been top sellers, well-known in the field. The author of the second book, My Grandmother's Hands, he describes the calluses that he would notice on his grandmother's hands when he was a child, and how later he learned that they formed because she had started picking cotton as a 4-year-old girl in the sharecropping South. Though slavery had on paper ended, and those calluses remained with her until she became his grandmother and would sit with him. These book titles reflect that our bodies are the home of our being. Our hands hold our stories. The Word became flesh and made a home among us. Christian faith is very clear about this. Jesus took on flesh and died and was raised a body. Both of those pictures on my office walls focus on the body, a fractal of God.